morning, Kensington. How are you doing? Good. Go ahead and stand if you would with us as we engage in worship with our King this morning. The reign of darkness now is ended in the kingdom of light, in the kingdom of light. Forever under your dominion, you're the kingdom of my life, you're the king of my life. You reign above it all, you reign above it all, over the universe and over every heart. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. On the cross, the work was finished. God, you poured out your life just to give us new life. And from the lips of the forgiven, they hear an anthem arise, 'cause Jesus, you're alive. Come on, let's sing it out this morning. You reign above it all, you reign above it all, over the universe and over every heart. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. Let all of heaven and the earth erupt in song. We sing hallelujah to the everlasting one. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. Yes, you reign above it all. You sent the darkness running out of an empty grave, now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. You sent the darkness running out of an empty grave, now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. You sent the darkness running out of an empty grave, now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. You sent the darkness running out of an empty grave, now seated alone in glory, Day and night, night and day, let incense arise. Day and night, night and day, let incense arise. Day and night, night and day, let incense arise. Day and night, night and day, let incense arise. Day and night, night and day. You are worthy of it all. You are worthy of it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. Jesus, you are worthy of it all. Lift your voice. You are worthy of it all. So worthy of it all. For from you are all things, to you are all things. You deserve the glory. Come on, voices, let's sing it. You are worthy of it all. You are worthy of it all. For from you are all things. For from you are all things. To you are all things. You deserve the glory. One more time. You are worthy of it all. Jesus, you are worthy of it all. For from you are all things, to you are all things. You deserve the glory.
Good morning, everyone. Go ahead and have a seat. So glad you're here today. I love the line, and from you are all things, and to you are all things. I'm going through a really reflective season in my life. Our oldest son is about to head to college, finished high school and heading to college in just over a month now. And I'm reflecting so much on his life and God's plans for him through the successes he's had and also the challenges as well. And it's made me think about my life and the successes, the journey, the highs, the lows, and the challenges that I've had as well. And it's amazing as I stand here today, I see God's hand in all of it, in the best of days and in the worst of days as well. And so from you are all things, and to you are all things. And God's hand is on our life, and he's here with us this morning. So glad you're with us. My name is Ryan Morrill. I'm part of our staff team here, and so glad that I get to be with you for a few minutes here. We're gonna have a little bit of fun in just a minute, but I've got a couple things I wanna share with you right now. First of those is I work with the kids department, kids and family here, and this Tuesday night at 6:30, we're having a fun beach night. Just a little ways away from here up by Canterbury Village at a lake called Keatington Lake. And we just wanted to invite you. If you are a parent, you have children, whether they're younger, maybe elementary age, we want to invite you out to come and hang with us. We're gonna be swimming. There's gonna be free food. We'll be cooking out while we're up there, volleyball, and just a chance to get to know you and get to know us more. All of our kids staff is gonna be there as well. So registration information is available online at kensingtonchurch.org/events. Also, we'll have some cards available to you on your way out of the kids program as well. Speaking of families, coming up in about 3.5 weeks, we have a really big night that's gonna take place right here. It is our August midweek. We do that the first Wednesday of every month. So Wednesday, August 3rd, It's going to be a unique or kind of different midweek that night. It's going to be under the theme of family. We do Rock Your Family events every summer throughout Kensington. And this summer, we're going to actually take a night right here at this campus, and we're going to rock your family, hopefully in a really good way. That week, Spring Hill Camps is here at our church building on our property, running day camps all week long for children. And since they're here, we're going to take advantage of a lot of the fun equipment they have. They have a climbing wall, a bungee trampoline, obstacle courses, and stuff like that. So we're going to have a night where we just get to take that stuff over and have a ton of fun before the service. And we're also going to be serving dinner outside or inside, whatever the weather dictates with that as well, and lots of fun games. And then everybody as a family is going to come into the auditorium. Little kids, we have childcare for them. But elementary age kids on up, come into the auditorium, and we're going to have a lot of fun, worship, some games in here. And then our elementary kids are going to break out for a special session for them where we're talking to them about their family and their parents. And in here, we're going to have all of our pastors up here. And I'm saying Sam and Craig. And also Clarkston campus will be joining us that night. And Jeremiah will be here as well, along with their wives. And they're going to be talking about the highs and lows for them in parenting as they direct and lead their children towards Jesus. So we want to invite you out, if you can mark that on your calendars right now, Wednesday night, August 3rd, whether you have littles, elementary age, even high school age. I think we're going to cover the whole gambit of what it looks like to raise kids towards Jesus in this modern, crazy world that's happening around us right now. So mark that. We'd love to have you there. Final thing, just a placeholder too, later on in August, Sunday, August 21st is going to be a big day. We're actually not going to be here in this building that day because we're going to be just a little ways up the road at Wildwood Amphitheater Park in Lake Orion. We're going to take over the park that night. They have a great outdoor theater. And that night, I said, it's actually that morning at 11 a.m. we're going to have a service. And it's going to be an outdoor service, lots of fun and family that we're going to be having around. We'll have kids a part of the service. And we'll have food and lunch as well, which will be really great. And then following the service, we're actually going to have our baptism service, right?
Yeah, we are.
So,
and you know what? Seriously, start inviting people. It's going to be such a great opportunity. And we're partnering with Lake Point Church over in Oxford. So it's going to be just a fun time of community, I think.
Exactly. This is Susan Welsh, by the way. She's our campus
everybody.
director. So
good to see you.
So anyway, we hope you mark that. We'll have more information coming out about that. And you've got some exciting news to share with us as well.
I do have some very exciting news for you. So do you remember a few months back when we were talking about the Orion family space? And maybe even the Orion green space? Who remembers? Hands up. Okay. Yeah, you've all been asking me every week since then. So we are very excited to tell you that this dream of ours, really, since the moment we moved or took possession to this building, has been to create that Orion space for our families. So next week, we are starting construction. So you're going to see all kinds of things happening down in room 1302, in front of it, actually, in the lobby. The dream of ours.
Great picture up there right now for him.
Ooh, isn't it cool?
Yep, really cool.
Took a long time to come up with exactly what we wanted, but the dream, of course, is for you all to enjoy it with your family, to take some time to get to know one another, but even more so, to bring our community in and let moms and dads with young children have a great place to go and just to relax. I don't know if you remember, back in the day, you may not, Lakeside Mall had the eggs and the bacon. Anybody part of the eggs and the bacon? Oh, you all were. All right. So when my kids were little, I used to take them to this germ-infested mall, and four of them, and try to keep an eye on them just to give them something to do in the dead of winter. So we are creating something much better than that here in our lobby. So it's really exciting, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. It shouldn't take too long to accomplish. It's been, a few years in the making, so we're ready to go now.
That's awesome.
Also, our green space, you remember we had a little tour of the lot. We are going to rip up all of that concrete over in the north lot, and we're going to create a green space. We're going to have some trees out there. We're going to have some cornhole games, and really the main objective for that, again, is just a space for community, maybe some outside services, some worship nights, place for our kids to be. There's a lot of cement around here, not a lot of green, and hopefully our community too to enjoy that space. So a couple quick updates that we're pretty excited about.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's going to be great. And again, not to just be enjoyed on Sunday morning, but 7 days a week, which
all the time.
Both spaces as well, which is great. So, all right, you ready to have some fun?
I am so ready.
All right, so today's message, we're in our week 2 of our Epic Tales series, right? And so today's message focuses around 3 characters found in the Old Testament: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And if you know a little bit about that story, if you went to Sunday school, you might know a little bit of what happened to those guys. If you didn't, you're going to hear more about it. But spoiler alert, they got thrown in a fire, okay? And they had to survive. And so it was really, really hot. So we're going to have a little fun bringing the heat this morning. So over here at this table, our wonderful cook, Miss Susan Walsh, prepared what I have here. And I don't know if I can show them. Where's our cameras? I don't know if I can show them. Well, at one point we had a camera person here. We have some hot wings, okay? And we have some sauces to go with those wings as well. Actually, they're not coated yet. Are these coated yet?
Not yet.
They're not coated yet.
No.
So we're going to put some sauce on these wings. And in front of us here, we have our sauces. In fact, we have some video help here to illustrate some of these sauces. So if we want to show some of this video here of the first one. All right, so we have the first kind of mild sauce. This is our low-level entry here, okay? Sriracha sauce. I don't know what Scoville means, but Scoville level 1500, all right? Which sounds a lot to me, all right? I am not a spicy person, but that's the first one, okay? Now we have a second one here. This is the mid-level, secret aardvark, habanero hot sauce, all right? Scoville level 5000. So we're 3 times whatever that is, all right? So just to put that in perspective. And then finally, not to be outdone, we have the last one here, and this is called Da Bomb, okay? Da Bomb, and I'm just gonna read the bottom part. It says, beyond insanity is what it says on the subtext. And the Scoville level is just, a mild 135,000. And why they even put 600 up there, I don't even know. Hotter than blazes, okay? So we have all of these hot sauces that are up here. Now, should I give them a little info about this one? Because, should we?
I tried it.
Did you?
I did
And
this
you're
morning.
still alive, so that's good.
I am
okay.
still alive.
I am
but
not a spicy
still
eater.
Taste it.
So,
I still have it.
Yeah,
in my
it is.
mouth.
We made it palatable. So all that said is, does anybody want to try this? Right? Does anybody? Are there hot wings here? Okay, I see one hand.
All right, come on up.
We're not coercing you at all.
on. We
And
would
I see a
love to have
gentleman
you.
way in the back there.
Come on,
all right.
let's go.
So we have man versus woman here. All right, come on up. Let's give it up for these 2 incredibly brave souls. All right.
So brave.
So let's get these ready.
Let me help.
I'll go ahead and pull these off.
All right.
All right. You can come up whatever way. Yeah, just come on up over there. All right. And Susan's going to help me with this. We're so glad that you volunteered. I was really afraid that nobody was going to volunteer. So I'm so glad you did. All right. Can you tell me your name? Hi, Jessica. Jessica, you can come over here to this side. And tell me your name, sir. Brandon, okay. I just want to note for the record that I did not coerce you. I did not force you to be up here. You're happily eating wings, right? Yeah, that's
Wait,
awesome.
should we have them sign the paper?
Great job. No paperwork.
Okay.
They're consenting adults. So here we go. All right, Jessica. So what we're going to do first is you can start with the mild, and same with you. Tell me first name again, sorry. Brandon. Jessica and Brandon. Jessica and Brandon, go ahead, and if you want to come up to the front, you can just, actually, here, I'll hold it. I'm going to hold it right here. You both can go ahead and dip your wing in the hot sauce, kind of roll it around in there. This is the 1500 sriracha sauce, right? Go ahead and roll it around there. Did I say that right? Sriracha. Whatever. All right, go ahead and roll that around. All right, are you guys ready? Go ahead and try it. Go ahead and try it. Just eat it up.
Nice
See
big
how
bite.
you do. We've got some water here for you, too. All right, how's it tasting, Jessica? It's fine? This is easy for you right now. Brandon, how is it for you? All good? No problem at all? Okay, all right.
Hey,
okay, all right, you guys
there's
can go and
more.
put
There's
those
more.
down.
You don't
You've
have to
passed
finish
the
it all.
first level. You have passed the first level. Let's give it up for the first level, you guys. Good job. Okay, now for level 2, the 5000 aardvark sauce. Where they come up with these names, I don't quite know. All right, Brandon and Jessica, go ahead and just go ahead and roll it around on there on one side. There you go. Oh, yeah, it's pretty thin. There you go. And Brandon, you the same. There you go. Okay. All right, let's try level 2. Here we go. Give it a taste. Let's see how they do. All right. Enjoying it. Oh, Brandon's like, I'm really enjoying this. You can see he's really into it. Like, he's going to take advantage. How's this one doing for you? It's a little sweet.
Ooh.
Is it hot at all to you? It is. It is hot. Is it hot? It's sweet and spicy. Okay, you've done this before. All right, that's great. Okay, all right. So you guys have passed. All right, good job. Go ahead and put that on. All right, so now we're gonna go to level 3, okay? The final gauntlet of our challenge today. Da Bomb, all right? Okay, so Jessica, go ahead and roll it around on that side right there. Awesome. Brandon, you the same. Go ahead and do it there. All right, do you want us to pray before you do this? Because we can do it. No, all right, we're going to trust.
Could you
it.
just sign a sheet of paper?
Yeah, I know. All right, again, let's do this. All right, ready? All right, 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and challenge
Fight.
out. Let's see how this goes. Let's see how we do here. They're still standing, okay? My heart rate is up right now watching. How is it? Is it good? She's talking. Not hot? I mean, is it, are you hanging it down? He's wincing. It's spicy, but it's tasty. And you're good as she's licking her lips, right? You're good. All good? No effects? Do you want some water at all? Susan's got it for you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for these amazing contestants.
Good job.
That is awesome. You're welcome to take your plate of wings and enjoy it, or you can leave them there, whatever is best for you. We'll bust your table for you.
Okay, so what you didn't
Jessica
see...
and Brandon, thank you so much.
What you didn't
Awesome.
see is Brandon was perspiring and Jessica's eyes were watering, but they were totally good.
Holy cow. I was like, that was awesome.
It
What's
was
that? Yeah, no, not on your life. I'm not trying that. Not at all. So anyway, so to transition now to our message time, or our more serious stuff. That was just a great fun thing. But we're about to hear a song from an artist that you probably recognize. His name is Tom Petty, right? And no, it's not Free Fallin', although that is a great summer song. The song is called I Won't Back Down. And when I hear this song, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to back down. I'm going to keep going. And that's a great kind of visual in our head. But we just want you to understand, actually, it's a little bit more of a slower version of this song, that there's a humility that comes from this moment as well. And in life, we experience challenges. And today, you're going to hear of these men and the challenges that they fought and they had to push through. And it would have been so easy just to say, yes, I'm going to stand for this. I'm going to get through it no matter what. But there's also something to saying that, you know what? I'm going to trust in my God. I'm going to remain faithful no matter what occurs to me, no matter what challenges, no matter what heartache, no matter what tragedy. And yes, I would even say the word persecution as well. To say, I will follow my God anywhere and I will remain obedient and faithful to him. So listen to these words, and then Shauna Schwaninger is going to be up to share the message today, and we're in for a great treat from her because she's an incredible teacher. So glad you're with us today. So enjoy these next few minutes and enjoy the rest of the service.
Can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No, I'll stand my ground, won't be turned around, and I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground.
there are moments in all of our lives where our faith will be tested. How do we respond? Do we fight back? Do we fight back in anger or frustration? Do we become more determined and focused? Or do we crumble under the pressure and give up? Or do we respond by saying, I won't back down, but with grace and humility? Do we respond in love? Do we respond by putting our trust and faith in God? Because like so much of life, there are moments where we have to make a choice. We have to choose whether or not we are going to trust God. Especially in the moments that are hard and that are difficult, are we going to trust God? And if we do trust him, do we trust him completely? Or is it conditional? Is it based on whether or not we will get the outcome that we want, what we hope for? And so today we're going to navigate some of those challenges, those moments of life that can be difficult and hard, where we have to decide if we're going to trust God and the importance of our response. And we're going to look at this incredible story that Ryan talked about, this story of 3 guys who really are in an unimaginable situation and how they decided they had to trust God. And we're going to look at their experience and what it can teach us today. And so as we continue on in this service, I would just love to take a moment right now to pray. Will you join me? God, we just come to you today and we just ask that you would speak to each one of our hearts and that our hearts would be open to hear from you today. That wherever we are at, God, whether we feel that we are on the mountaintop and life is good and it's joyful, or we're in that place that feels more like the valley and it's hard and it's difficult, and there's been some pain and suffering, God, I pray that we would meet you today. And that we would come to know that you are a God who is with us, a God who we can trust. In your name, amen. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. As Ryan said, my name is Shauna, and I'm part of our team here at Kensington, and I am so glad to be here with you today, and for everyone who is joining us online, it is great. We are in week 2 of our series 4 Epic Tales, and at this time in the service, I do want to take a moment to receive our offering. And this really is an opportunity for us to trust God. We're talking about trust today, and this is a way that we can trust God with our finances and with our resources, and really to be a part of something that is bigger than ourselves, to be a part of his kingdom. Now here at Kensington, our mission is to see everyone transformed and mobilized by Jesus. And that happens in so many different ways, and it happens through our giving, and that goes in through our church planning network, through our move out network, through our campuses and our global partners. Even just this last week, we had a team of about 33 people that were students, high school students, and our student ministry leaders come back. They were in the Dominican Republic, and they were working alongside our global partner there. They had an incredible time of just being the hands and feet of Jesus, loving the community. They did some work. They were pouring concrete. They were painting. They did a VBS, but all these different ways that we can show the love of Jesus to different people, and it happens through your giving. And so if you are not a part of that, we would invite you to jump in and be a part of that. On the screen there, you can see the different ways that you can give. And for those of you that are on mission with us in giving, thank you so much for being faithful and for being on that mission with us. So, trust. Trust is something that can be easy at times. Other times, you might have to kind of work yourself up to it. Like when the person's like, hey, that wooden roller coaster that's 1,000 years old, it's totally safe. And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And then sometimes trust is hard. Like it's really, really hard. But sometimes we don't even think about it. Now for most of us, when we wake up in the morning, we just trust the sun is gonna be there. Now whether or not it's shining and then it makes a beautiful Michigan day for us, that's a whole different thing. But we trust that the sun is there. When we go to a restaurant and we order that cheeseburger, we trust that it's gonna be real meat. I mean, at least I do. I'm not, sometimes you're kind of like, oh, is there that secret ingredient there? But for the most part, we trust. But like other times, we do have to be convinced that it's okay, that it's safe, and we need a little bit of coaching, and sometimes we need a group to kind of help us. And so I have a video I want to show you of just someone's experience of trust.
And we're going to ask you to fall, and then they will catch you. So you have to trust us. I'm going to count to 3. Just relax and fall. Okay? 1, 2, 3. No, wait, no!
Look at their faces. That's awesome. Oh, man. So they worked him up, man. And you could see, right? Like, you could see his hands, and he's like, okay, I can do this. And he trusted, but it did not work out very well. It actually ended up very painful for him. But I think that's kind of like life. Because sometimes we trust, and we end up getting hurt. Sometimes we trust someone, and things go wrong. Maybe it's someone that's really important, and then there was some deception or dishonesty. Someone broke their promise. It was a parent. It was a friend, a spouse. There's disappointments. There's rejection. And these things can then break our trust. And then when we've experienced that, then it's a lot harder for us to then try and trust again in the future. And then when it comes to God, those past experiences of broken or mistrust kind of make us a little leery. We're not too sure if or how we can trust God. We almost become skeptical because, well, if I've experienced this in the past. So then we're a little nervous, standoffish, even with God. And then sometimes I think we struggle trusting God. It's not so much about our past experience, but because of what's at stake. Now, if it's something small or little, we're like, sure, I trust you, God. But if it's big, if it's life-altering and impacts your life, that's different. Because we wonder, well, can I really trust him? And what if the outcome's not what I want? So how do we trust God? How do we trust God in those difficult, the uncertain, the painful times of our life? How do we trust him? Well, the story that we're looking at today that we're going to jump into, I think has some great insight for us. So it's a story about these 3 guys who are from Jerusalem. And they have this friend Daniel who's along with them as well. And it's found in the Old Testament, and it's in the book of Daniel is where we're going to be looking. And they lived during the time of King Nebuchadnezzar. Now, I just got to say this. My name is Shauna Schwaniger. I thought that was really hard to say and spell. But I think King Nebuchadnezzar has me beat on this. Now, I've been in this story all week, and I still don't think I can spell his name. But he was the supreme, most powerful leader of Babylon. And it was the most powerful empire in the world. So it was very feared. All the other places were like, oh gosh. And because when Babylon would go in and attack a city or a region, defeat was 100%. And so we read in the first chapter of Daniel that King Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon went in and attacked Jerusalem, and they defeated it. And like they would at other times, when they would conquer a city, they would then take with them the most useful and the talented and the gifted people from that city back to Babylon. So after they attacked Jerusalem, Daniel and his 3 friends, they end up going back to Babylon. And when they're there, they are now being instructed in the ways, the culture, and the language of the Babylonians. And to even greater immerse them into the culture, they even give them new names. So Daniel, he is now called Belshazzar, and their friends, their new names are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which I'm kind of curious, like where that baby name book came into play here, because we got Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar. I mean, just throwing out some ideas if you're expecting a baby. But they were trained in the ways. Now, after 3 years of learning all this stuff, the king was like, you guys are the best of the best. And they were assigned to work for him. So now they are working for the king. Now, even though they have been instructed in learning all the ways of the Babylonians, their Jewish upbringing was very important to them. So they still were very committed to following God. Because a part of their upbringing meant that they were very familiar and actually had a very deep understanding of the different Hebrew texts. So the texts of the prophets and the law, they would have known the Torah, or what we would know as the first 5 books of the Old Testament. And because of this, they were committed to God. So even though they were living in a culture that did not believe in God, they did. Then when we get to Daniel chapter 3, things kind of get a little interesting, and that's where we're going to begin our story today. So it says in verse 1, King Nebuchadnezzar made a gold statue 90 feet tall and 9 feet wide, and set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then he sent messages to the high officers, officials, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the provincial officials to come to the dedication of the statue he had set up. So all these officials came and stood before the statue King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then a herald shouted out, "People of all races and nations and languages, listen to the king's command. When you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipes, and other musical instruments, bow to the ground to worship King Nebuchadnezzar's gold statue. Anyone who refuses to obey will be immediately thrown into a blazing furnace." So the king has created this massive gold statue. I mean, it's huge. And he has commanded that everybody is to bow down and worship this. We're talking everybody, including Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And the thing is, if you don't do this, you're going to be thrown into a blazing furnace. So this is not something to be like, oh, yesterday was leg day. Because if you've done leg day, the next day, walking, you're kind of like, stairs are impossible. So the idea of bending, you'd be like, no, there is a blazing fiery furnace. You're not going to be like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. No. You're going to want to do this. Now, they play all the music, everyone bows down, and then these astrologers, they notice something. So they go to the king and they're like, hey, Nebuchadnezzar, you know Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? They didn't bow down. And they didn't. These guys did not bow down. Now, by not bowing down, they're going, our God is God. They're making a commitment to say, God, we will only worship you. We will only trust you. But by doing this, they also risk their lives. It's kind of bold. But it really does show that this whole God thing to them was not just some part of their upbringing, but they actually trusted God. Now, when it comes to our lives, most of us, we're not going to be confronted with some command to be like, bow down to a statue. But for those of us who are Christ followers, there are going to be moments in our lives where we're going to be confronted with the choice of, do we continue to follow the ways of God? Do we live a life that's honoring him? And especially in moments that are hard, where there's pain and it's difficult, where we're going to have to go, do I trust God in this? And it's going to look different for us. Maybe it's you receive a health diagnosis, and the outcome just does not look good. Or maybe it's a relationship thing that maybe someone was unfaithful, and now the relationship just feels like it's in shambles. Or it's at work, and things have been really challenging, and you don't even know how much longer you're going to have a job. Or maybe it's something in your family. Maybe it's with one of your kids, and they're making some choices that's harmful, and you get to this place, and you just go, I don't know what we're going to do. Because we all have these moments in life. They're difficult, they're hard. A couple years ago, my husband started his own business. Now, if you have started your own business or you run your own business, wow, that is not for the faint of heart. It is like this roller coaster. At times it's like, whoa, this is awesome and it's exciting. And then other times it is flat out terrifying. And through all of it, it just feels stressful. And so with my husband's business, every job and project that he gets, that means he's providing for us as a family. And so that means, hey, we can pay the mortgage. Oh, wait, we can pay our bills. Oh, we can feed our family. We have like 2 teenage boys. I don't know if you have teenage boys. They like to eat a lot. And I see that food bill just kind of like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And as soon as I'm like, hey, didn't you just eat? They're like, no, I'm still hungry. I'm like, awesome. I gotta go to the store again today. But my husband's job provides for us as a family. It's a big part of who we are. And so the ups and downs, it's like, whew, okay. But there are moments that we've sat there and gone, I don't know what we're gonna do. Where's the next job? Okay. Because when that doesn't go the way you planned, it keeps you up at night. You're worried. You're, at times, I think, even fearful. You play that worst case scenario thing in your head, and you're like, I don't know. Because we have these moments and we have to go, what are we going to do? Because it's really easy to trust God when life goes according to our plan. When everything's like, okay, yeah, this is great. And when we almost feel like we kind of have control of things. And it makes sense. But life doesn't always go like that. Sometimes there's a curveball. Sometimes things do not work out. Sometimes something happens and we have to go, what are we going to do? Are we going to trust God? Now, for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're kind of in like an unimaginable, unthinkable situation. And here we see them going, okay, God, we're going to trust you. Now, the king, though, he's not too happy about this. So he's like, hey, guys, come here. Like, I know you're my favorites and all, and you're like, you work for me. But I don't know if you heard, like, I need you to bow down to my little statue there. Like, I'm going to give you another chance. So when the music plays, if you could bow down, because otherwise, immediately, I'm going to have to throw you into the fire. Well, we continue reading, and this is their response. It says, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up." These guys respond to the king by saying, our God's bigger. Our God is bigger than you. He's bigger than any idol or statue. And I think it's so important to hear, the heart of their response. Because this was not an attitude of stick it to the man. They weren't like, roar, defending, and it wasn't like a little kid who would be like, yeah. They actually responded in humility and faith. Because they said, we believe that God can save us. But then they go, even if he doesn't, we will still only worship him. We will trust him. Well, the king is furious at this point. So he commands that the blazing furnace be heated up 7 times hotter. He has these guys immediately tied up and they are thrown in. And the fire is so hot that the guards that throw them in, they are consumed by the flames. Then we continue reading on in the story and it says, but suddenly Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in amazement and exclaimed to his advisors, "Didn't we tie 3 men and throw them into the furnace?" "Yes, your majesty, we certainly did," they replied. "Look," Nebuchadnezzar shouted, "I see 4 men unbound walking around in the fire unharmed. And the 4th looks like a god." I mean, the king is shocked, as I think any of us would be. I mean, they tied 3 guys up and threw them into the fire. They are unharmed, and they're like, just walking around, completely untied, and now there is a 4th dude in there. I mean, he's going, what the heck is going on? Now, for any of the people that were there, they said that fourth guy, he's supernatural. Now, for us, we'd be like, okay, sure, whatever. I mean, who is it? The thing is, we really can't be certain for sure, but many theologians think that either it was an angel or a pre-incarnate appearance of Christ. But either way, God sent them a visitor in their greatest trial. Now, Nebuchadnezzar, he is just like, oh my God. So he calls them out of the fire. They're completely unharmed. And he's like, you serve the Most High God. And then he actually goes on and he creates a decree that no one is to speak against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I mean, it's an amazing story when you think about it. But I think what really stands out to me is their response and how these guys responded. Because these guys did not hold on to anything. They did not use their position or like the fact that they were like his favorite to defend themselves or to be like, we're not gonna bow down. They remained calm, peaceful, and confident. Even with the king's demands, even with this life-threatening result, they continued to trust God, but with humility. Their demeanor actually reminds me of another response that we read in Scripture, in the New Testament, a response of Jesus. After Jesus is arrested in the garden, he goes on trial before the Sanhedrin and before Pilate and before Herod. And his response to each false accusation is one of peace and humility. At times, he doesn't even say anything. I mean, we read in Luke 23, this is when he's before Herod, and it says, he plied him with many questions, but Jesus gave him no answer. Jesus is silent. And he could have defended himself. Like, he could have fought back. But Jesus remains this calm, peaceful response. I mean, he could have caused a retaliation, a rebellion. I mean, he is, after all, he is the creator, almighty, all-powerful God. But yet his response is one of humility and peace. And here in this story, we see Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that they respond peacefully, that they stand there peacefully. And I think they were able to respond to that. It wasn't because their response was based on themselves. Their response was not based on the situation or the circumstance that they were in. It was definitely not based on like the outcome, the potential, the future. Their response was based on the promises of God. See, these guys, that upbringing was not just a part of their life, but because God was a part of their life, they had a foundation in him. That is what shaped their response, and that is what allowed for them to be calm and confident and to be peaceful in this. And really what is so astonishing about this is because they go on to say, even if he doesn't. They are trusting in the promise of God. Even if he doesn't come through in the way that they want, they still trust in the promise of God. And that is how they are able to go, okay, we choose to stand here and to not bow down. And when it comes to our lives, I think for those of us that follow Jesus, sometimes we think it's just going to be this sweet, cushy, problem-free, safe life. But that's not God's promise. God does not promise us that we're not going to have hardship or go through pain or suffering. That's not his promise. His promise is that he is a God who is with us. He is a God who will be with us in the awesome moments of life, but he's also a God who is with us in the times that are unbearable and hard. I mean, in Matthew 28, we read, it says, and surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. He is a God who is with us always. So it comes back to us now that we have to choose. We have to make the choice whether or not we are going to trust in his promises and trust him. And sometimes that's really hard because sometimes we don't feel it. It's learning to trust him even when we're kind of nervous, when we're worried and we're anxious about it, even fearful. Because I have to imagine that those guys standing there, they're probably kind of like that guy in that video, right? We saw his hands, right? He's moving his fingers, and they're probably like maybe clenching their fists, closing their eyes, going, Jesus, okay, God, we trust you, we trust in God, we serve God. They almost probably had to convince themselves. I mean, it was a fiery furnace. Because sometimes learning to trust God means we have to do it even when we don't feel like it. Even when it doesn't make sense. Even when we go, we might not get the outcome we want. Because they said, even if he doesn't. Because the reality of life is that sometimes we do not get the outcome we want. Sometimes we don't get the fairy tale ending. Sometimes pain continues, sometimes suffering, sometimes the trials continue to go, and it feels like you're always like treading water, and you're like, am I ever gonna get out of this? But here's the thing, God is no less God with us in those moments. He is a God who is with us. Now, someone who I've come to really respect is a lady named Catherine Wolfe. She's an author, she's a communicator, and she's an advocate. And at 26 years old, she suffered a catastrophic stroke. Now, miraculously, she survived, but her life has been forever altered. And now, along with her husband and 2 boys, she is living in the continual suffering and having to figure out, how do you continue to trust God when the suffering doesn't end? And she says this, I had to learn how to find God in the midst of it. I learned that God's goodness was not attached to my earthly circumstances. And God being good was not based on anything going on in the physical world. The cross put everything in perspective. Catherine had to find God in the midst of it and is continually making a choice to trust God. Because we're all going to experience those moments in life that are difficult, that there is suffering, that are incredibly hard. And maybe for some of us, that's where we are right now. So whether it is something within your family, divorce, depression, chronic pain, health diagnosis, the death of a loved one, financial struggles, addiction. I mean, the list can go on and on of the things, because we're all gonna face them. We're gonna face things that will push us to our limits, push us to the point where we go, I don't know if I can handle this anymore. And the question is, what will our response be? What will our response be? Will our response be, I trust you, God. I trust you, God, even if I don't get the outcome that I want. Is your faith based on the outcome of your situation or the circumstances of life, or is it based on the promises and the foundation of who God is? Now, as we get ready to close, I want to give us 3 things today that I think really can help us in these moments of how we can trust God, especially in the difficult times. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were able to stand peacefully, even with this looming threat of a burning furnace, because they knew the promises of God. We need to learn the promises of God. We need to learn what they are. Now, here on the screen, we're going to have 2 slides for you. I'd love for you to take out your phones and take a quick snapshot, because I've just put together just a few of the promises that God gives us. Just a few. We need to study them. We need to get to know them. We need to memorize them. We need to pray them. Because when those moments come and it feels like we're getting attacked, if we don't know the promises of God, how can we trust in them? I mean, for me personally, over the last few weeks, there's been some difficulties and some unknowns with my husband's business. This is what I'm telling myself. Every day I'm reminding myself of the promises of God, that he is a faithful God. We have to learn the promises of God. The second thing is to be intentional and spend time with Jesus. Build into your foundation. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had a foundation in God. We need to be intentional and create rhythms in our life so that we can build into our foundation. And that's why spending time with him. Spend time with him. Spend time reading the word. Seek truth and hear. Spend time talking to him. Tell him what's going on in your life. Tell him the frustrations. Tell him the anger. Tell him your disbelief. And then ask him. Ask him for wisdom, for strength, for discernment. Ask him to help you so that you can respond with that grace and that humility, that you can say, I won't back down. I won't back down, but I'm not going to back down because of you, that we can respond in his love. So how can you be more intentional in spending time with him? Maybe that means you just need to get up a little earlier each day so that you can have that time. Maybe that's beginning to do a devotional or reading. Man, the YouVersion Bible app has so many. And on that, well, the coolest thing about that app is that you can do it with people. So you can actually have a friend or somebody to help keep you accountable. So that's not just some fleeting idea where you can, hey, check in on, let's talk about this. But find ways that you can be intentional and spend time with Jesus. And the third thing is, let go. Let go. Let go of your plans. Let go of your ways, your ideas. Let go of your control. Trust really is this thing where we have to go, okay, God, I'm surrendering it to you. And most of the time, I'm going to be really honest. Those difficult times, it's incredibly scary and hard because it feels like you're just jumping off the cliff. But we see that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they didn't hold on to anything. They didn't hold on to their job positions or their own life. And I think they were able to do that because they knew the promises of God and they had a foundation with him. So what might you need to let go of today? Maybe it's your worry. Maybe it's some fear, it's your control, unforgiveness. But learn the promises of God. Be intentional and spend some time with him and then let go. And remember that no matter what, no matter where you are at in your life, whether you're still even exploring God and figuring out this whole church thing, what does it even mean? Or you've been following Jesus for a long, long time, he is a God who we can trust. He is a God who is with us. He is the same God yesterday, today, and forever. He is the God who was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and he is a God who will be with us. A God who will be with us in our fire.
There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. There's a grace when the heart was another in the fire. Oh, my dead left for death beneath the waters. I'm no longer a slave to my sin anymore. And should I fall in the space between what remains of me and this reckoning, either way I will bow to the things of this world. And I know I will never be alone. There is another in the fire standing next to me. There is another in the waters holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding what power sets me free, there is a grave that holds nobody. Now that power lives in me. There is another in the fire. 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 I can sing and I can see the light in the darkness as the darkness bows to him. I can hear the roar in the heavens as the space between wears thin. I can feel the ground shake beneath us as the prison walls cave in. Nothing stands between us. Nothing stands between us. There is no other name but the name that is Jesus. Amen. He who was and still is and will be through it all. So come what may in the space between all the things unseen and this reckoning. 'Cause I know I will never be alone. No. And I know I will never be alone. There'll be another in the fire standing next to me. There'll be another in the waters holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding how good you've been to me, I'll count the joy come every battle. 'Cause I know that's where you'll be. And I can see the light in the darkness as the darkness bows to him. I can hear the roar in the heavens as the space between wears thin. I can feel the ground shake beneath us as the prison walls cave in. Nothing stands between us. Nothing stands between. There'll be another in the fire standing next to me. There'll be another in the waters holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding how good you've been to me, I'll count the joy come every battle. 'Cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy come every battle. 'Cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy come every battle. 'Cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy come every battle. 'Cause I know that's where you'll be.
have a God who meets us in the fire. We have a God that we can trust. And my hope for us today is that for some of us, maybe that's putting our trust in him for the first time. For others of us, it's a reminder. But that we will be in a place that we say, okay, God, I trust you. I trust you, even if, that we will stay committed and trust him. Now, for some of us, we might be in that fire. And I want to let you know that we have a team that would love to be able to pray with you. They're going to be down here after the service is over. Please come down. Know that we have a God who is with us, but also that you are not alone, that you do not need to fight these battles alone. And sometimes we need someone to come alongside us. We need someone else to pray for us. So please, our team is here for you. We also want to let you know that when you exit, we'd love for you to hang out a little bit. We have a little party in the lobby happening out there today. So please stick around for a few minutes. There's going to be games. Get to know some people, meet somebody new. I would love to meet you. And we hope also for any of you with families and kids that you'll join us on Tuesday night for the barbecue. It's going to be a fantastic night. And otherwise, we hope you have a fantastic, amazing day. And we'll see you back here next week for week 3 of our series 4 Epic Tales. Have a great day.